Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now I invite our respectable head of the department, Dr. Sandarsana Rajeshwaran ma'am, to deliver a welcome address.
Uh, a very good evening to one and all present here. I thank our founder chairman, the visionary par excellence, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam, our honorable president, engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar, our most respectful vice chancellor, Dr. S. Geeta Lakshmi, our beloved provost, Dr. G. Gopalakrishnan, registrar, Dr. C.B. Palnivelu, Joint Register Academics, Dr. Cyril Raj, Dr. D.B. Jabaraj, Joint Registrar E&S, Dr. N.S. Shubhashri, Dean E&S, for giving us this opportunity to organize this national level webinar and also to permit me to welcome the August gathering of eminent professors here. I also expect, I request that this wonderful webinar will be a rewarding experience for one and all assembled here. And I wish a hearty welcome to Dr. S. Armstrong, Professor of English, University of Madras, and Dr. T. Pushpanathan, who is the Professor and HOD in SSCEM University, Kanchipuram. And I expect all the participants of this webinar to be equally rewarded with the knowledge that we are sharing here. Thank you. Yes. Ma'am?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Jabraj sir is there, ma'am.
Jabral sir is not here. He is in the president's office. So
Okay, ma'am.
I just came out to give
Okay, ma'am.
this. Yes, ma'am.
Deputy HOD is there, ma'am.
Yeah, she is also not here. Okay, no problem, ma'am. We'll introduce the
Okay,
Karnad
ma'am.
later by Dr. Mary Thomas herself.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, yes.
So we will introduce Chief Guest, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It's time to welcome our special guest. Now I call Ms. Gayatri to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Armstrong sir.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It is indeed my privilege to introduce Dr. S. Armstrong Soul, Professor and Head Department of English, University of Madras, for today's panel discussion. He is a recipient of Fulbright Nehru Visiting Associate Professorship at the University of California, US in 2009. He is also awarded Shastri Indo-Canadian Fellowship to complete doctoral thesis at the University of Guelph, Canada, during 1999 to 2000, and also awarded Visiting Conference Fellowship to visit McGill University, Canada, to present papers in 2007. So, has earned his PhD from Bharathidasan University, India, and has completed his thesis on a Shastri Indo-Canadian Fellowship at the University of Guelph, Canada. So, has authored Voices of Voiceless, Canadian Native Women's Autobiographies, and has edited Survivance Beyond Canon, Mapping Canadian Literature, and also critical anthology titled An Anthology of Tamil Dalit Literature will be out shortly. So has also authored many critical writing and has translated Tamil Dalit writings into English, which appeared in edited books as a Tamil Dalit theatre in Modern Indian Theatre, New Delhi. So has published one national and one international book and edited one national and one international book, and also published 17 national and 10 international papers. And so has gained 21 years of teaching experience in his profession. Once again, with a privilege, we are proud to have such an eminent person for our panel discussion today. We heartily welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Gayatri, ma'am.
Thank
Now
you,
I
ma'am.
call upon Ms. Abhinaya.
Thank you. Thank you, ma. Thank you so much.
Now I call upon Ms. Abhinaya to introduce the other chief guest, Dr. T. Pushpanathan sir.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I am very happy to introduce Dr. T. Pushpanathan, a dynamic English professor who has 15 years of experience in teaching with difference designation. He currently serving as a head Department of English in SCSVMB University at Kanchipuram. He pursued his Doctor of Philosophy in English Language and Literature from Bharatiya University, Coimbatore. He was nominated as Best Teacher Award for several times in various institutions. Dr. Pushpanathan attended UGC-sponsored orientation courses in 86th batch by UGC, University of Madras and obtained A grade. He participated in massive open online courses and short-term courses for more than 6 times. Dr. Pushpanathan is convener of English Language Teachers Association of India in Kanchipuram chapter. He acted as a resource person and guest of honor in various reputed universities more than 34 times. He is a review committee member and received 55 papers and published 50 plus papers in national and international journals. His research projects on the topics myths and racism. He acted as a chairperson for technical session. He guided PhD scholars, MPhil scholars, and also undergraduate students for their dissertation. He acted as a chief executive examiner in TNPSC exams. He organized multiple workshops, seminars, and also conducted quiz during this pandemic. We are honored by your presence on this occasion, sir. We hope having a person like you will enlighten all the faculty community on whole. I once again welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Abhinaya ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm glad to invite our decisive dean, Dr. Mary Thomas, who is going to be a moderator for the entire panel discussion. It is a great privilege for me to introduce Dr. Mary Thomas, who is a dynamic and articulate English professional with an aspiration for teaching, writing, and public speaking. Her communication skills accompanied by an in-depth knowledge of English language and literature. She pursued her PhD, MPhil, and MA degree in English from the University of Madras. She completed her post-graduation and undergraduation from Stella Maris College and her schoolings in Church Park, Chennai. She cleared the SET examination in the year 2000. She has 26 years of teaching experience of top institutions in Chennai. She is a highly committed teacher who achieves maximum results from her students. She is expertise in teaching English language and literature, training students for IELTS, British Council certified trainer, writing articles in journals and speeches for dignitaries in college magazines. She has presented and published articles in international journals and conferences. She is much interested in proofreading, editing, script writing for college dramatic competitions. She has ability to translating scripts from movie spoken in American and British accents to Indian accents. She has passed grade 8 in solo singing from Trinity College of Music, London. She uses innovative techniques like music and poetry to teach English language successfully. A desire to take English to different frontiers in India and make aware to students and young learners through that English can transform their lives. Her mission statement is molded and fashion young minds to be fluent in the usage of English language. We are honored by your presence on this occasion, ma'am. We hope having a person like you will enlighten us.
Thank you so much, Saranya.
Thank you, ma'am.
For the lovely introduction. So a very pleasant afternoon to each and everyone gathered here for this panel discussion. Dear friends, colleagues, faculty, research scholars, and panelists, we are gathered here to explore the world of Girish Karnad, the playwright, filmmaker, actor, writer, and activist. Girish Karnad has been at the center of some of the most artistic and cultural movements of India in the last 4 decades. He found new approaches like drawing historical and mythological sources to tackle contemporary issues of his time. So I welcome the external panelists, Dr. S. Armstrong and Dr. T. Pushpanathan, to this August panel discussion. And I welcome all the audience who are gathered here waiting to hear the panelists. First, for the benefit of our audience, we delve into the tale of human myth and identity crisis in Girish Karnad's Hayavadana. For this, we have an expert, Dr. M. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, an erudite scholar of the play Hayavadana, to enlighten us on the different aspects of the play. Ma'am, Chandrasena ma'am, can you enlighten the audience on the inspiration that made Girish Karnad write this beautiful play, Hayavadana? Chandrasena ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me? Ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank,
I'm joining.
thank you. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yes.
When Hayavadana was written, he was already 2 plays old, and this Yayati and Tughlaq were enacted with such great success that itself was a great inspiration for our Karnad to write yet more play. And there were also Vijay Tandurkar and Asif Karim Bhai and so many others who were exploring. He wanted to be different from the available the experiments. He wanted to experiment in a different way. He found the story. The Indian mythology was offering enough content, and he was already was aware of the Western dramatic techniques. So he wanted to explore the form and the content in a different way in Hayavadana. So he first took the Sanskrit story, Vetala Panchimshika, and also an adapted version of the transpose case, which was written by Thomas More in the Western country. So Hayavadana's problem is one of alienation as well as incompleteness. He is exploring the possibility of identifying this identity crisis, the incompatibility of the head and body, and this inability to find his society. Hayavadana, he is having two stories. One as the main story and the other one as the sub story. That is the main plot and subplot. Main plot is the story of uh, uh, Devadatta and Kapila, who were both were in love with Padmini, but the story leads to such an end that they offer their head in the Kali's temple, and the aftermath is the transposing of the heads. Okay, this transposing of the heads is getting into some problem, and then you have this subplot of Hayavadana. The story again he took from the available stories in Karnataka. Okay, so he was using the story available in the Karnataka folklore, uh, wherein a princess married not the prince but the prince the stallion on which the prince was riding. So after 15 years of time, she comes to know that this stallion was none other than a Gandharva. When the Gandharva wants her to live along with him, she doesn't want to. She becomes a complete horse, leaving her son, Hayavadana, to make his own way among the human beings on the earth. So the crisis now arises, wherein Hayavadana finds he is incompatible either to move with the divine, the Gandharva people, or with the human beings. He was not even able to do with the mingle with the animals. So there is the three different perspectives, three different worlds with which he cannot join. So this is the same kind of life that our protagonists also have. The body first, the body and the mind after the transposing. It's very difficult for them to find the head heavy, the other one finds the body heavy, but ultimately they come to make a compromise between the body, but they are not able to make a compromise with the mind that they have. So this is how the story goes. Okay, so Hayavadana explores the identity crisis in Hayavadana with his introduction of the folklore as a folk drama or for the urban audience. So here here he integrates what are all fascinating for him in the folklore, folk dramas, the songs, music, the miming, all these things which are part of folk drama were brought onto the proscenium stage to which the urban audience are accustomed to. So, ma'am, do you want me to say anything further on this particular?
Yes, thank you so
Yeah,
much,
this
ma'am.
mass. Yes,
That was
ma'am.
a wonderful explanation, and I think we as audience, we can relate to this tale because from our own point of view, we
Yes,
all
ma'am.
want completeness. We all want
Yes,
completeness. We all want the perfect minds and the
yes,
perfect.
yes.
We go through any experience
Yeah, the
to see,
characters,
to see these models,
characterization.
yes,
I need
the
to tell about
models,
the
and
characterization.
you see all these people and you want to become like them. The
Yes,
perfect mind and the perfect body and
yes.
achieve
The
completeness.
fabulous body, the
Yeah,
fabulous
in a
mind. That
fabulous
is the
mind.
perfection that she
Yes,
is after, the
yes.
heroine.
So
But
we
it,
as an
it
audience can
only
relate.
brings the doom for
Yes.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
this
ma'am.
wonderful
Yes,
explanation.
ma'am.
We as the audience can relate to this from our own perspective of wanting that completeness and the perfect body and the perfect mind. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, next we have a
Can you stop presenting?
next we have a play that really interests all of us as audiences. It's about a snake myth. And as you all know, the snake myth has swayed every lover of literature and folktale from a young age. When we heard stories from on our grandmother's knees, we we are, we just were so fascinated by the snake myth, and we as adults dismiss it as rationally practical people, as old wives' tales. And we have with us here Dr. P. Harshini, a creative, versatile professor of Indian English literature, and who is going to enlighten us on the very interesting aspects of Nagamandala. Dear Harshini ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
please share with our erudite audience perspectives of Nagamandala from the reader's lens.
Uh, Thank you very much for the opportunity, ma'am. So, Girish Karnat, to talk about him, I feel so honored because I am talking about one of India's most accomplished playwrights and finest practitioner of performing arts. A multifaceted personality like him should be recognized and remembered always, and I'm happy and proud we are doing it. Karnat's creative genius lies in taking up fragments of historical legendary experience and fusing them into powerful statements. In the play Nagamandala, different levels of knowledge are superimposed and difficult texts are used, which permit us to
Excuse me, ma'am.
discover or at least
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
surmise the possibility of transcending the conflict to achieve wholeness. What is surprising in Nagamandala is that the play focuses on four different stories structured on four narrative levels. The frame story contains three other stories, each of one inside the previous story. Thus, we can comprehend that Girish Karnad is not an ordinary playwright but a creative genius. If he had narrated the story directly, it would have lost its charm and would have looked like any other ordinary story. So, by intermingling different facets, he makes readers get a feeling that they are traveling not on a path of boredom, but on a beautiful road of creativity with different flowers strewn to enjoy its beauty and view and make the travel a fulfilling one. There is also an element of surrealism seen in the play Nagamandala that helps to create a captivating and socially relevant domestic drama. So this is my perspective.
Thank you so much, Harshini, for that beautiful answer. I think as our audience also would have really benefited from this answer. And
you, ma'am.
we have this question for you. Now, how is this snake myth explored in the play Nagamandala?
Snake myth. It's a very interesting concept, ma'am.
Yes,
So
very interesting.
Nagamandala draws its snake concept from the many stories that are deeply rooted in our myths and folklores. The evil hissing of snakes, its slinking moves, glitzy eyes, deadly poison, sudden appearance and disappearance have always provoked interest and equally fear of these mysterious creatures. Many film producers of our country have also taken keen interest in the snake subject and have even succeeded with many movies becoming box office hits. This we can say they add fuel to the fire in the belief and imagination of the people. Snake is also a subject of many folklore and mythological stories, and they have always remained a mystery to human beings. So Girish has taken good advantage of this particular element of mystery surrounding the snake and has created a complex interplay of man-woman relationship with the help of the snake. An interesting thing to note is that snake is also worshipped as god of fertility in some parts of the country. And as an indication to that belief, Karnat shows that Rani conceives a child from Naga. So by making Naga love Rani and make her get all the love she longed for from her husband, Karnat proves that there is no real distinction between the human and non-human worlds. This is validated by the fact that Apana, a human being, acts like an animal and Naga, an animal, behaves like a human. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Harshini. So that was very interesting because snake myth is always interesting to us and our audience. Our audience would like to know whether Indian society comes through as a patriarchally supremacist society in the play Nagamandala, especially in the play Nagamandala. Patriarchally supremacist society.
Sensitive question, ma'am. Okay, anyway, the play Nagamandala beautifully addresses itself to the problem of feminine sensibility and the female quest for identity. It tries to examine and construe the position and status of women in our society. Karnat here provokes the reader into brooding over the issue of feminine identity and sensibility. Apana locks Rani in the house, whereas he arrogates to himself the right to spend nights with another woman. Thus, male is pandering in a vulgar display of power where he is treating women as disposable objects, be it his wife or mistress. Nagamandala deals at length with this issue of status and position of women in patriarchal societies. India has traditionally been a patriarchal society. Even today, when there have been efforts to make women more empowered and aware, they are still dominated by men in their personal as well as social life. The numerous rape cases which we hear all around are justification to this. Women are fated to be like flames which should work till others need them, and when their need is over, they should be put off. It should be put off. To give more importance to women, Karnat in Nagamandala employs women to narrate Rani's story. Thus, the story is a woman who will tell Rani's story to the audience. Karnat has done his best to give feminism a new meaning and tries through his finest plays that women deserve to be respected and well treated. But sadly, the change has to happen at root level, and we can do nothing but wait for things to change.
Thank you so much, Harshini, for that strong and empowering message to
Thank
the
you.
audience. Thank you so much.
Ma'am.
Next we have, it is said that Before Girish Karnad zeroed in on this, and on his protagonist for the next play, which is what's different from the others, was a political drama which was infused in history. He explored through many a book and a tome from the archives of Indian history, and then chanced upon this idealist, maniacal Muslim ruler of the Mughal dynasty. So next we have an internal panel member, Miss S. Bhuvaneshwari, who comes across to me all the time as a perfectionist, interested in completing all her tasks given to her with utmost sincerity. And with utmost sincerity, she has researched this play, Tughlaq. Ma'am?
Yeah. Very good afternoon to one and all present here. Thank you, Mary ma'am, for your wonderful introduction to me. And I now I welcome you all for the reality, apart from that mythology, the story and all. Okay.
Yes.
Always, either it is 13th century, 16th century, and 21st century, and present century. Every citizen has rights to know the politics, isn't it? Yeah. Now, Karnad, one such great dramatist who attract younger generation mostly. That is why there's a political this story reached so high when it was when it was staged. It is a Karnad's second play published in 1964. Because of its interesting story, intricate plot, and the scope of spectacle, which reached so high, and even now it is so fond of many youngsters. Okay, in the play, the protagonist Tughlaq is portrayed as having great ideas and a great vision, but his reason was an abject failure. He started his rule with great ideals of a unified India, but he has degenerated into anarchy and his kingdom. Okay, he is referred to as the wise fool in Indian history because he undertook numerous administrative reforms, but most of them failed due to the lack of plan and judgment. He had many numerous reforms, but he failed because he couldn't made his plans to reach the people. That was his failure. Karnan shows the evaluation of Tughlaq from an idealist to a tyrant, lust for power and fame, ma'am. That is very important thing we should note. And Tughlaq might be perceived as an over-ambitious alien emperor who aims to rebuild new cities and empires, subjecting the culture of a people to colonial strain. He wanted to be an enlightened and liberal despot and tried hard to find the cooperation of his subject. But the people failed to understand his idealism and the reformatory zeal. That was true. There is a consistent a conflict between reality and what is assumed to be the ideal state of affairs. Through the tactics of establishing analogy between the past and the present, Girish Karnad heightens the relevance of the play for the present time. The drama sets into action with an exclamation, God, what's this country coming to? Even though it's suitable. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, very true. Very true.
The play represents the hopes and disappointments in the political life of the Nehruvian era in Indian politics. It voices the disillusionment of the people of Karnad's generation with Nehru's idealism. To me, the four major activities of Tughlaq led is a great failure. The one is the one was the shift of capital from Delhi to Dowlatabad, the abolition of the onerous tax jizya on the Hindus, which misunderstood by the Muslims, and he insisted to pray 5 times. It's strictly he ordered, and the introduction of the copper coins, which led another great failure to his life. In 1964, India had been less than 2 decades removed from partition and independence. It's true. The result was a nation where direction and transformation vision was hard to establish. The internationalism of Nehru provoked strong opposition from many of the political and religious parties in India, ma'am. The political chaos, disillusionment, and corruption which Kannan depicts in Tughlaq remains many readers of the Nehruvian era in the Indian history. Kannan finds the similarity a coincidence. Nehru's industrial policy at the cost of agricultural development bears striking resemblance to Tughlaq's fatal science map. And Dowlatabad and the copper coinage sealed Muhammad's fate. So as Kashmir and Pakistan war were often mean vacillation in foreign policy to Nehru. In the play, history is mixed with politics, and the dramatist seems to show that politics is used to promote the self-interest of the leaders and not the welfare of the people. We can say from the Goodreads comments, I'll tell ma'am, Tughlaq written by Girish Karnad in 1964 is his best loved play about an idealist 14th century Sultan of Delhi, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, an allegory on the Nehruvian era, which started with ambitious idealism and ended up in disillusionment. It's not just, Tughlaq is not just about Nehru. There are lines in the play when two gods talk to each other and one of them says, "Oh, this is such a strong fort." The other god doesn't agree. He says, "The fort will crumble due to inner weaknesses." So everything is there. Strong and weaknesses all the time. We can see an 80s audience watching it interpreted it as the aftermath to Indira Gandhi's assassination. Every audience interprets the play according to his own sense of reality. I think this is true. Yes, ma'am. Will you agree this?
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you for
The
sharing.
question is whether it will connect it to Modi also, our Prime Minister. Yeah, I'll leave this to the audience itself.
We will not comment on that.
Thank you.
We will just not comment on that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Leave it to the audience imagination. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, it's very thankful, Shri ma'am, for sharing with this August audience how Tughlaq became a play of all times, and how it is a play as a political allegory, and deriding the Nehruvian idealism, and how Tughlaq, the ways and means by which Tughlaq failed his people, his praja. Thank you so much for sharing these very precious, interesting facts with us. Thank you so much, Bhuvneshwari ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Which was so interesting. And for the benefit of the audience, next we have with us an internal panelist, Ms. R. Indra, a vivacious professor and guide whose love for theatre and acting makes her the right person to discuss this next topic. As we all know, the COVID-19 has changed the world, and it will never be the same again. So, Indra is so interested in theatre and acting. Please tell us, what is the future of Indian theatre, and how is it going to face all these problems and during these uncertain times of the COVID-19? Please enlighten us with your love for literature.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. As a theatre lover, before going into the postmodern theatre, I wanted to talk about what Girish Karnad has set an example for us when it comes to theatre as a playwright. He always says that structuring of the play, dramatic techniques, or it is about the dialogues, he always makes sure the structuring of the play, or the way he makes the dramatic techniques in his, the inducing dramatic techniques in his plays. He says that the urban audience, they always, we have to make sure the time concern of the play, because they are the modern urban audience. They come here to, they pay and they get entertained. So he makes sure the theatre audience should sit and enjoy and get some consciousness about the theatre, and then go back with a lot of teaching and delight. So he makes sure that. So the postmodern theater, again, it's a meta theater and it works with the different techniques, simple narratives. And I feel, my personal opinion for this, after COVID-19 pandemic, I think the theater people or the people who are associated with theater should explore much on the digital, platforms which is available for them. For example, in the Globe Theater, every week they are freely, they are showing we can subscribe the channel and we can see the theater on YouTube, on Facebook. So I think the theaterist of 21st century should, like T.S. Eliot says, take the past of whatever Karnad has set an example, like how to structure and how to concentrate on the urban audience, how to make them entertained, how to make them, come to theater or explore the digital platform for theater. So we have to take the, ideas from Karnad and we have to explore it through the digital platform. And that's how, there is a ray of hope after COVID-19 pandemic. There is, the theaters will be open and we'll all go and sit and enjoy. And one more thing I wanted to quote, Girish Karnad in his play The Fire and the Rain, he says, the Nithilai says Arvasu tells this to Nithilai, it is raining, Nithilai. So it is very positive that after this post lockdown, we'll definitely enjoy theaters. It will rain. It will be positive.
There will be a silver lining for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for enlightening us on this aspect, because all of us were wondering what theatre lovers would do. And one thing always we are curious about is the fact that, we tend to think that, the theatre audience is a kind of a elitist intellectual audience. And the audience who go to watch films, they are not so intellectual, So I don't agree with that fact, because all of us watch drama as well as films. Yes, and I don't think that, I just want to know, Indra, what is the difference between the film audience and theatre audience? It always intrigues me.
Ma'am, even Karnad has a sarcasm on this, ma'am. But I was just watching one of his video where he says, theatre has become an art. It was once an entertainment and it's become an art. Why? Yes. Because it has only lesser audience and it has become an art. So any entertainment will become an art at some point of time. So theatre has become very less, with lesser audience, it looks with an intellectuality. But ma'am, the art as a drama, as a visual treat is different from other arts, painting, or it is, other art forms. Theatre, the visual treat is totally different from other art forms. So it is totally different entity from films. Though the films has taken certain elements of drama, the drama has its own, consciousness, narrative techniques, because as a theatre lover, we cannot, give up on theatre, ma'am. It has, the theatre has a lot of, lot of structures and, it has, to say, certain planning. It is not like the motion picture kind, but it goes lot of practice, lot of, even a single dialogue. We cannot, even Karnad says, dialogues cannot be a conversation in theatre, because the audience is sitting in the theatre and they're watching the play. They're live in the theatre. In theatre, they're very much live and they're seeing. Even single dialogue cannot be taken for granted. So it has to be a persuasion. So each dialogue has to go for a persuasion. So not only dialogue, for every element which we go.
Yes, every detail, every character, whatever, every word or the character speaks. Yes, very true. Yes, Indra, continue. Indra, are you there?
Theatre, it goes. Yes. So I think I won't say it. Though I'm not.
You're not.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm not talking. Yes, ma'am.
I think someone else is present.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and that's why you're getting up.
And I always, as a literature people, we have to love theatre, ma'am.
Yes. As literature lovers, we love theatre too. Yes, but the same uproar we don't find when a drama is released, like when a movie is released, right? The same furore and uproar and So I think
even many of the theater groups they perform their for free.
Yes.
Only then they get audience.
Yes, yes.
Many of the time it happens. Even
Yes.
Karnad used to say that the budget is very important for a theater. He always says budget is very important when you structure a play. The playwright has to keep that in mind when he writes a play, because it has to be enacted, it has to be produced. He has to check for the actor and everything. So a playwright has to keep the budget in his mind.
And it's purely an art lover who will go to theater. Very good. Thank you.
Ma'am. Thank you
Now,
so much, ma'am.
I have just one more small question for you, Indra, because I always wondered, Girish Karnad wrote in Kannada, right?
Yes,
and I just wanted to know, he translated the plays himself, and our audience, I think we would like to know, what's the beauty or the essence of the play, of the drama lost in translation?
Ma'am, Karnad, ma'am, it is whether it is Karnad or any playwright or any text from India, as an Indian literature, we do not have any, there is no center for Indian literature, ma'am. So luckily we have a colonial English helping us as driving vehicle to explore the other language art forms or literature or text. So even Karnad says that the colonial gift is English, and I'm using it as a vehicle to drive all over the world. So he makes sure the essence, the Indianness, the capital I, is translated in my play. So he himself translates it. So he makes sure the essence is translated, the entire transcreation happens, and then only he goes for enacting the play, ma'am. So he makes sure while doing his translation, he makes sure the essence, the Indianness, the capital I translates literally. Then only he goes for it, ma'am. So he even takes 2-3 years to translate one particular play, and only Yayati he took very much time to translate in English. So he feels that English is a colonial gift, and we have to use it in a very positive way. So that's how Indian play in English has flourished, ma'am. So he is a vital role in that.
Yes.
So in a way that translation helps, because from Kannada to Tamil Nadu, we enjoy his play. Tamil Nadu to all over the state, all over the world. So I think the translation is very important, ma'am. And he does it very meticulously.
Yes. Thank you so much, Indra, for that enigmatic answer. I'm sure the audience would have really been entertained with these answers, Indra. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So next, we have to go to our eminent professors, the eminent guests of today, the external panelists, and our audience. We have some interesting questions for them. As we all know, Girish Karnad, he spent his whole childhood in a place called Circe, and where he heard from all the people there, the Puranas and the Itihasas, and how these Puranas and Itihasas fascinated him, and he was fascinated by the folk theatre, the Yakshagana style of theatre. And we have with us a very eminent professor of English, Dr. T. Pushpanathan, an erudite scholar and teacher. And he wishes to enrich the audience on the Indianness of the play Nagamandala. Sir, please enrich the audience on the Indianness of the play Nagamandala.
Very good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Is my voice audible?
Nice to have you with us. Thank you, sir, for being here with us.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
We can't see your screen. It's dark.
Now?
Now we can see.
You have to unmute your audio.
Yeah, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, now we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on Yakshagana, the theatrical form, which
techniques
Girish Karnad has used.
Yes.
Yeah. You know pretty well the themes and are taken from Indian myths and from the Vesala Panchavanchika and all that. Chandrasenanan has covered it.
Yes.
As far as Nagamandala is concerned, you know, it is about folk tales retold by Ramanujan and so on.
Yes.
And how Shakespeare achieved greatness, all his plays were staged. So Shakespeare himself was an actor and he achieved greatness because of the theatrical form. I will call Girish Karnad as Indian Shakespeare, who used Yakshagana effectively to reach the unreached. For example, the theatrical arts, you know, in those days, it were for people with higher class people. But this Yakshagana, which was followed in Karnataka, this Girish Karnad got his influence because of his exposure or his companionship with Natak Mandalis. Since his childhood, he watched many dramas, performances. That really inspired him to start his play or to work with Yakshagana.
Yes, sir.
Now, this Yakshagana, which is popular in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, it can be called as Terkuttu. I don't know how many of you are aware of Terkuttu.
Yeah, we've heard of that, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, this is a picture. Can you see this? Can you see the picture, bro?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Now we can see.
No, this one is.
Now we can see you, sir.
Yeah. This is. Can you see this one, no?
Yes, we can see you, sir.
No, I want my screen to be seen.
Okay, okay.
Right.
We cannot see your screen. Sridharshini, can you help sir with the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I've started.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So is this the one or
Can you see
the?
this picture? No, the next one.
Sure, sir.
No, the other photo, ma'am. The third one. No. Wait. Can you see this?
Yes, sir. Very clearly, very colorful. Very colorful representation.
This one.
Yes.
See the one with the saree?
Yes,
That's
sir.
me. That's me.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
When I was doing my
Sir,
11th
your
standard-
voice is echoing, sir. Sir, excuse me, your voice is echoing. Kindly, sir, improve it.
Can you hear me, sir? I'm using my headphone only.
Sir, it is echoing or vibrating, sir. Not clear. Very not.
It's like it's just echoing a bit. It's really
Okay.
muffled.
Now is it okay now? Is it okay now? Can you hear me now?
It's really better.
So your voice is breaking, sir.
Can you hear me now? Can you now? Wait a minute. Is it okay?
Better, sir.
Better. Yeah, better.
Yeah.
Better.
And this is a kind of theatrical form which is followed in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, sir.
And in Karnataka, Yakshagana is followed. It is a traditional theatre which combines dance, music, costume, makeup, etc.
Okay, sir.
And in Hayavadana, right from the invocation song till the end of the play, Karnad has effectively used this Yakshagana. For example, it is a custom followed in the theatres that they'll begin with a prayer song.
Okay.
Actually, they begin the play with a prayer song in order to completion actually. So now, he will invoke the song of, or he will sing the song of Lord Ganesha, who is himself personified as the god of imperfection. A man's body with an elephant's head. In that, the Indianness can be seen. He says that Lord Ganesha, even though he is imperfect, he believes that his belief is that song towards Ganesha will help him to complete the play. So that itself is a thing of Indianness. That's number one. And number two, the stage veins will be there. For example, there will be an entry and there will be an exit. Usually this Yakshagana will comprise of 20 to 30 actors used to travel from one village to another. They camp in a temple usually, and in order to stage a play they will decorate of their own and they will wear colorful dresses. Usually all the episodes will be taken from the great epics Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And one more thing is that, in those days, women were not allowed to play the role of actors or acting in stages. So men played the role of women. And there were a group of people who play mridanga and harmonium and tala. And there will be a man called narrator. In Hayavadana, you can see in the name of Bhagavata, who is the narrator. Yes. Similarly, you can see in the theatrical form, the person who introduces the play will have the total control of the play. Yes. Actually, Indra ma'am was focusing on how Girish Karnad achieved greatness. He himself translated his plays into English. That's one of the reasons. But the other reason, how effectively he has used Yakshagana. I mean, he has taken the content to the lower class of people. The lower class, they love watching these kind of street plays in the street stages. And most importantly, this Yakshagana theatrical thing is free to watch. No need to pay any money for that, right? And one more
Excuse
thing.
me, sir. Sir, sorry for the interruption, sir. Still, your voice is not clear, sir.
Can you hear me now? No, I'm using my headphone only.
Yes, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Maybe because of two accounts, sir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Now you can three.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And this Yakshagana is a typical folk form of drama, particularly followed in Karnataka. And if you want to have a clear idea about that, Kathakali followed in Kerala and Tirupati in Tamil Nadu. Unlike the stylistic costumes and masks of Kathakali, Yakshagana is a true people's theatre. And as Indra said, digital theatre can be used. But the real success of theatre is liveliness, and people can watch actions live. That's the real, that's why people love to watch performances in theatre, right?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in that way, I would like to contradict with Indra. And I know that because of COVID, we are unable to get the performances of these theatrical artists and all. But going digital as far as theatrical aspect is concerned, it will be like watching a movie. Sometimes, in the live stages, the actors will interact with the audience. For example, if the audience make noise, they will take control over the audience. In Ayavadana, the appearance of Ayavadana was very important. There was a curtain, and usually this curtain plays an important role in theatre, because whenever a new character is introduced, the curtain will slowly open so that everybody will look into who is the character and all. So Ayavadana was introduced in such a way, and similarly the appearance of Kali also will be. So in my observation, I believe that Karnad achieved greatness because of the traditional folk theatre form, that is Yakshagana, so which helped him to achieve greatness and to reach the mass, to reach the poor people, for example. Is that clear, ma'am, on Yakshagana?
Yes, yes, very clear, sir. So have you finished your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. That was a very illustrative and elaborate explanation of how the Yakshagana style of theatre is the true people's theatre. And very well done, sir. And how it can entertain even in these times of COVID-19 in the digital form. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir has said what all I wanted to say for the Ayavatna.
Yes,
Suddenly came into the picture. I could not elaborate on what I wanted to say. I'm thankful to sir. Thankful to Dr. Pushpanathan for giving such a wonderful, yes, ma'am, such a wonderful explanation.
With your very illustrative and elaborate explanation on the Yakshagana style.
Yeah, we are thankful, sir. Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Last but not the least, we have with us a person who needs no introduction. A great personality, Dr. S. Armstrong, Professor and HOD of the Department of English of Madras University, an ardent teacher and researcher whose many accolades speak for itself. Sir, welcome to this August gathering.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we thank you. We would, as audience, we would love you to share with us your views on Girish Karnad and what made Girish Karnad tick as a playwright. What made Girish Karnad one of the greatest Indian playwrights? We would like you to share your views with the audience.
Thank you so much, Mary, for organizing this meeting, and I also thank Chandrasena ma'am for inviting me to this panel. So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, I don't have paper or PPT. I just want to share my own views about Girish Karnad and my association with Girish Karnad. Okay?
Yes, that will be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met Girish Karnad in Jayanagar, Bangalore in 1993. I interviewed him as part of my MPhil, program. I did my dissertation on the plays of Girish Karnad, and nearly 10 hours with him at his home.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, interviewing him, and I learned a lot, really. So
that's a real privilege.
Yes. So what I learned from him is three things. Number one, he is a theatre personality interested in integrating tradition and modernity. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, all the, we consider some of the folk tales are inferior, some of the oral, tales are inferior, right?
Yes, sir.
But Karnad was very much interested in, highlighting folk tales and epics as a channel for criticizing the contemporary life. And that is very, very important. Okay. Number three, as a translator, I think Indra or somebody told, as a translator, he is very, very one of the important translators in the world, I can say, because he was very much interested in translating his own plays from his mother tongue Konkani into English language. That is one of the best practices he has said for the Indian academicians, because we don't need a third person as a translator. So that will lose a lot of originality, lot of things will be sacrificed. So Girish Karnad told me, he was very much interested in, translating his own plays. That is very, very important, because, the reason is we cannot lose any originality. So he was a scholar. Not only philosophy, he did philosophy in Oxford University under Rhodes Scholarship, I think many of us know. Basically, he is a graduate in mathematics. I think all of you know that. Mathematics, and then statistics, and then philosophy.
Yes.
So his cross-disciplinary, understanding of literature, molded him as a different person in the world.
Yes, sir.
Today, he is considered to be one of the, inspirational writers, and he's a role model for many of us because he's very much interested in theories, but nobody knows that. He told me he was very much influenced by Galileo Galilei.
Okay.
The play. Not only that, Albert Camus, Sartre, Malamud, and American writers influenced Girish Karnad a lot, but that is not well known to many of us because he kept it as a kind of base. But he wanted to Indianize everything. So that is the beauty of Girish Karnad.
Yes.
So all of us are interested in borrowing theories. We love to borrow theories from the Western, realm, and we try to, apply in the Indian text. But Girish Karnad was not like that. Girish Karnad wanted to learn many things from Sartre, Albert Camus, and Malamud and other writers, but he wanted to Indianize everything.
Yes.
He wanted to, so that is one of the reasons he brought a Kada Sari Sagara to the world. Nobody knows what is Kada Sari Sagara. But he made a lot of unknown text in the world, in India. He became, he made very, very popular. So that is one of the things I was very much interested in. Next important thing is, theatre. As Indra also told about, the digital approach to theatre and all. Theatre, one of the Canadian writers said, theatre is an extension of oral tradition. Correct? Theatre is an extension of oral tradition. But Girish Karnad, without any popularity or without, any, damage to the concept of theatre, he made theatre as a tool for, social transformation, particularly issues related to women. As an activist, he was very much interested in presenting the problems of women also.
Yes.
Like all the plays, the main characters will be very, very prominent.
Yes, sir.
It is not, he wanted to achieve a kind of, today we talk about gender equality and all the important sensitivity towards gender and all. But Girish Karnad was one of the original players who was very much interested in giving equality. All, if you look at his characters, look at all his women characters, he wanted to give a very, very clear picture about the how women suffer in India. Okay, so all the theories, like we talk about, T.S. Eliot is very, very important for Girish. And, we are familiar with objective correlative and also, Eliot's theories. All those theories like tradition, individual talent, modernity, all these concepts, Girish Karnad imbibed and he presented and he crafted in such a way that it must be useful for the Indian audience, particularly students. As a person who was very much interested in cinematography, he stopped acting at the age of 60. All of you know very well. And he's in all his plays, we can see the cinematographic element in the plays also. So that is one of the very, very interesting things, I came to know from Girish Karnad. So, really, when I met him, he was very much busy with presenting a TV program called Turning Point. I think many of you might remember this program. Turning Point in 1990s is very popular in, Doordarshan. So Turning Point was a program made for students and then a lot of audience in India. It was a program. It highlighted very, very important unknown facts, a kind of general knowledge, but not familiar. And he wanted to make all those facts and figures familiar in the program Turning Point.
Okay, sir.
The way he was reading books was truly inspiring. He won't read one book like us. He used to keep, books like, in a very big table. He used to keep all the books under, suppose he talks about origin of, human beings. Now, then he will take one chapter in this book and one chapter from some other book. He keeps all the books, on the table, and then he reads one, topic, but different authors. That kind of technique I learned from Girish Karnad, because even for all of us, it is good. Suppose if you want to prepare one paper on gender studies, it is better to read one chapter on gender studies in particular book. The other book will carry some other chapter on gender studies. He reads that also simultaneously.
Yes.
And he will prepare the program for the training part. So that is how, he is a person with original thinking, original, knowledge, which is not at all borrowed from anybody. Such a person is considered as one of the three, playwrights in India, along with Vijay Tendulkar and Badal Sarkar. Next important person, Girish loved a lot, Badal Sarkar. So these three playwrights are very important, and Girish played a very, very vital role. Inspiring students, many scholars, became great lovers of literature because of Girish Karnad. Because such a person, and he is also well connected with Tamil movies also, right, ma'am?
Yes.
So very much, connected with the Tamil soil also. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, Mary, for the opportunity. So if you want to ask any questions, you can coordinate.
Yes, I think we are really privileged to have you, sir. And the audience, as audience, I think we have to thank you, because it's a great privilege to have you with us, and a person who has rubbed shoulders with Girish Karnad. And the three things that you talked about him integrating tradition and modernity, and how he used folk tales and epics for criticizing contemporary times, and how he translated his own plays, and the cross-disciplinary understanding of literature. That's very interesting, sir. Especially as he's a mathematics. He studied mathematics as a Rhodes Scholar, but he brought that discipline into playwriting, structuring the plays. It's so interesting, and we got a worldview into this person, this versatile genius, the original thinker, Girish Karnad. Thank you so much for this opportunity that we got from you, sir, and this enriching the audience with your wonderful talk. Thank you so much. And now, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. And I think the audience are really enriched by what you said. I think
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Saranya, now it's time for audience to ask questions.
Yes, ma'am. I thank all the panel members. You all have put a lot of effort in the panel discussion, and it showed. It was very stimulating, entertaining, and we learned a lot. Thank you so much all once again. Now it's a Q&A session. Participants, kindly one by one unmute your microphone and ask your questions.
Why, ma'am, Girish Karnad could not get the recognition in the northern India, although he is known as the Shakespeare of India as well? We could not get as much influence as he got in the South India, not in the North India. Why so, ma'am?
Yes, I think Vishwanathan, sir, can you answer that question? Sir, you said that Girish Karnad is the Shakespeare
Indian.
Indian Shakespeare. Can you answer his question, sir? Dr. Shrikant's question.
Yeah. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The theatrical form which he followed, or Yakshagana, and it is from South India. That's the reason why the southern audience are more interested towards Girish Karnad's theme, etc., rather North Indian. Is that clear, my dear?
Sir, something elaborated, if you could, something more elaborated.
No, the theatrical formats in North India is not the term which he has used. And moreover, the North Indian audience are not familiar with Yakshagana or Kathakali or Terukuthu or whatever you say, but it is familiar in the southern part of India. That's why he was able to attract the southern audience. So it depends on the people who receive him
To
and how they
respond.
receive him.
Yeah, the response.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Shrikant. Sir, your mic is muted.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah,
satisfying?
quite satisfied.
It's a
Yeah,
satisfying.
quite satisfied. Yeah, right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now we
Thank
would
you,
ask
sir.
the audience. Thank you so much, Dr. Shrikant. Now we would ask the audience if they have any questions for the panelists. I'm sure we were enriched by this panel discussion. I think as audience, we were all enriched. Please come up with your questions if you have
No,
any.
they can send their question in the chat box also.
Yes, I think they have sent many questions in the chat box.
Sir?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
Participant, you can ask your question.
Can you say something?
Yes.
I would like to know something about his later plays on urban themes where he doesn't use myths and other things. It is very straightforward.
Sir, Dr. Armstrong, sir, can you answer that question?
Yeah,
Ravi
yeah.
Rajgopal.
Yeah. Can you hear the question now, please?
Can you enlighten about
Yeah.
his urban plays? Later on, he wrote where he doesn't use mythology and other things.
Okay. What's your question?
About his plays on urban themes, like he wrote one play on beans, another about the family circumstance.
Yeah. No, because he was very much interested in presenting the contemporary life, particularly urban life, in the later place. But the beginning he was interested in bringing out the history of India and also the kind of
The traditions of India.
Traditions of India. Very good, madam. Very good. But later, he wanted to have a kind of a sense of completion. Like bringing urban life also, because urban life, when you see the place, even if you read chronologically, when in the later place focused more on urban life, and also he related urban life with the Indian mythology and Indian epics also.
Thank you,
I hope I answered his question.
Thank you,
Thank you. Is that a satisfying answer, sir? Ravi Rajgopal, sir?
thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. To the
Ma'am,
audience, questions? Yes.
We have a question from the chat box. Can I read it?
Yes.
Yes.
Could we relate the theme of Tughlaq by Girish Karnad to the present political scenario? Nehruvian era was 21st century, ma'am.
Yes. I think
From
that
Tughlaq.
question, Bhuneshri ma'am, are you here? Bhuneshri ma'am? Bhuneshri ma'am? Is Bhuneshri ma'am here? I think she discussed that in what she was saying.
Yeah, ma'am, this
I think she
contemporary.
discussed contemporariness.
Ma'am, Mary,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes,
it may
sir.
be
Yes, ma'am.
interesting to relate Karnad's works to the present context.
Yes.
But I don't think it is appropriate to do this in this forum, ma'am.
I thought
Yes, ma'am.
become very controversial.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I think we shouldn't comment on that.
Yeah.
That's why I just
We
she
don't
was
want,
talk about
maybe
it. But
it is for private talk. We can think about such things, but not in a forum like this.
Yes, ma'am. I think Saranya, I think
it's yes, ma'am.
controversial. Yeah, and I think we shouldn't comment on this.
Yes.
In this forum.
We
All
are
right?
sorry. We are not able to discuss this topic
This
in this
topic,
forum.
is very controversial, and I don't think as
yes, I'm Bhuneshwari speaking. Yes, ma'am, I accept HOD ma'am and Dean ma'am, and now we can discuss like this. Okay. Yeah. So very big
Thank you so
controversial themes. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Saranya, can we have any other questions? Does anyone have or? Saranya ma'am?
One more question is there, ma'am. Shall I, ma'am?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Read.
Shall we take his work as a political satire?
Yes, that can be.
Definitely,
Ma'am.
to me, it's a political satire. It's a political allegory. It's a satirical play. Yes, Bhuvneshri ma'am, can you answer
Bhuvneshri
that?
ma'am, you can give
Yes,
the.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, surely, because it's a political satire. When it was written, it's 1960s. With all the activities reflected in the play, indirectly mentioned the Nehruvian period.
Yes.
It discussed. That's why it reached very big success.
Yes.
Audience saw each and every actions resembles to the period. 20 years in Tughlaq period equally resembles to the Nehruvian period, who struggled lot to come up the country, just make it to the high, to the world. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other?
Yeah. Any
I
other
think
question?
I'm satisfied.
Yes.
Are you satisfied? Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bhuveshri ma'am. Saranya ma'am,
Yes,
is
ma'am.
there any other
Thank you.
question that we would?
Any queries?
Any other questions for Bhuveshri ma'am?
Only one more question is there, ma'am.
Yes.
As a male, he reads the minds of female world. Is this possible to every writer in India?
This question goes to whom, ma'am?
Harshini ma'am,
It's a
can
general
you
question.
answer that? Harshini ma'am, can you answer that? Because we were talking about the patriarchal society. He's
patriarchal and subaltern.
but a male writer actually cannot feel the psyche of the woman. And in feminism, we have this great theories by the feminists that, you know, the woman, men cannot really feel what the women undergo, you know. But it's all that in the early period, male writers have written about women's issues. Okay, so Harshini ma'am, can you please enlighten us on this question? Male writers have written on women's issue, but I'm sure they can't feel the brunt of, you know, the woman suffering.
Yes,
the psyche of the woman is too complicated and too complex for the male writer to really, you know, explore. But male writers have been doing it down the centuries.
Yes,
and that is what the feminist writers have, you know, opposed. They say that we have to have our own voice. We have to write our own stories. Our own, it's only his stories and not her stories. We have to write her stories. Harshini, are you there? I think it's a beautiful question for you. Harshini ma'am?
Ma'am, I could say something about this, ma'am.
Yes, Chandrasena ma'am, please say.
Yes. Even in Hayavadana, we think we are shown the sufferings of a woman, but in a very indirect way, you know. When the decision was taken to give her in marriage, we do not find anything of the sort, that whether she is consulted to give her in marriage to Devadatta. We don't hear such things. But once again, when the heads are transposed, the men, initially they are happy, but at the time of discussing about the right over, they're discussing about the right over the woman, you know. Kapila was asking for her the life because he is having Devadatta's body, so he says rightfully her. And this man said, this is my head and I am the superior and I have the right over. But nobody asks, with whom does she really want to live with? Okay, that is there. Yes, nobody asked that question. And it's a kind of, it's a kind of childlike pleasure when it was the kind initially, when it was initially, it was like a childlike pleasure that everybody has got, everybody what they wanted to, but at the end, the disillusionment strikes, you know.
Of women.
So
very true.
And again, when they die, they do not think about this hair plight, you know. They simply take away their life. They get into duel and they take away their life. And this woman, after getting, when she sees the gory incident there, she thinks that how people are going to talk about her and what is going to happen to her son. But nobody thinks about the son or the wife, you know, that they don't think. But this is the kind of life a woman is tied with, you know. Even
Yes,
in
I
the
think
times of
that's
hardship, she thinks about so many other consequences, and which is she is not the only one who has no. But actually, that happens. Man. That is the thing, and she gives away her
yes.
son to the tribals. They should take care of the son.
Take
So
care of the
this is
son.
the
Yes.
kind of the woman. She is all powerful, and she is ready to take the decisions on her own, but she was not given that opportunity so long.
Yes.
That is how
Thank you.
we think about.
Yeah, I think that will be a satisfying answer for this query. Saranya ma'am? Saranya ma'am?
Yes,
Saranya
ma'am.
ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any questions? Any more questions?
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am. We
Okay.
can thank our audience, ma'am, for being with
Yes,
us.
yes, for being there, and I think it was a very enriching
Yes.
panel discussion, and the
Yeah, I'm
audience
really
has
happy.
really been enlightened. I think all of us were enlightened, and so it was such a wonderful panel discussion. Thank
The,
you everyone for being there.
out of 250
And
guests, they're all the 250 guests are glued to their laptop or to their mobile phone. They are still
mobile
there,
phones,
ma'am.
yes, yes, that's a wonderful thing, and I
Yes,
think
wonderful experience that we have.
it's really a pat on
Destiny?
the back.
Yes, ma'am.
We can just
We'll
pick
call
our collars
Destiny.
up because we as English department, we have, I think, enriched and enlightened the audience who are the real heroes of this panel discussion.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
give
you.
a
I call
formal
Ms.
Thanksgiving.
Priyadarshini.
Yes,
I call Ms. Priyadarshini to give a vote of thanks for the session.
thank you, ma'am. A warm and graceful evening to the most valued guests, colleagues, and dear participants. It's my privilege to propose a word of thanks on this occasion with the quote of a French philosopher, Jacques Maritain, that gratitude is the most exquisite form of courtesy. So, my first and foremost thanks to Almighty God for giving us an opportunity to successfully organize a panel discussion. And a hearty vote of thanks to our Honorable President, Engineer Dr. A.C.S. Arun Kumar Sir, and the management for supporting us this online webinar endeavors during this pandemic time. We offer our sincere thanks to our Joint Registrar, Dr. D.B. Jabarat Sir, and Dean ENS, Dr. N.S. Subhashri Ma'am, for their constant support. We express our heartfelt gratefulness to the special guests, Dr. S. Armstrong Sir and Dr. Pushpanathan Sir, for sparing your valuable time to grace the occasion. So today we had a lucky chance to hear your thoughts, and this will surely going to be enlighten us, sir. And I also extend my gratitude to all the speakers, Dr. Mary Thomas ma'am, Dr. Chandrasena ma'am, Dr. Pushkala ma'am, Dr. Harshini ma'am, Ms. Bhuvaneshwari ma'am, and Indra ma'am for sharing your findings and opinions with us today. And we remain grateful to our Dean English, Dr. Mary Thomas ma'am, who serves as a moderator for the entire discussion, and our head of the department, Dr. Chandrasena ma'am, in taking the initiative for organizing this panel discussion. I thank our entire fraternity of Department of English from the main campus, first year campus, and also from phase 2 for their enormous cooperation. I especially thank the faculty members